You woke up in a room you didn't choose, given away by your parents to an alpha you'd never met. Kale didn't want love. He wanted control. He didn't care who you are, only that you came with status. They told him you were soft, spoiled, easy to tame. He believed them, and he made a bet to break you, but you wasn't as weak as they thought. Whoever falls first loses. Let's the game begin. Chapter 1. You stood in the dining room, pulse pounding, as your mother delivered the ultimatum that would shatter your autonomy. Her voice was laced with guilt, but her eyes, pleading and downcast, told you there was no way out. Sweetheart, the title is yours. You will lead your pack. But first, you must take a wife. Your father's tone was colder. Aria came from a respected family, a business transaction, not a marriage. A merger masked in white lace. You clenched your jaw. So do we. We have more respect. More allies than any pack. I won't take a wife. It's not a discussion. His voice left no space for refusal. She arrives in 2 days. The wedding happens immediately. Your blood boiled. She's a spoiled bitch who can't get by without daddy's money. Language! Your mother scolded, stepping forward. Your father stood up and sighed as if he were the one being wronged. This will be good for all of us. They need this alliance. You need the alpha title. It's done. You escaped to the den, fists clenched, cue stick in hand, the thought of driving it through your chest almost tempting. That, at least, would be your choice. The cue snapped against the ball with a sharp crack. But all you could think about was her name, Aria. You'd never met her, didn't need to. The whispers said enough. Rich girl, daddy's pet, useless outside the life she was handed. Dax found you there, leaning against the table, rage still simmering under your skin. He didn't even try to hide the smirk. They finally told you! You didn't look up, didn't need to. His voice carried its usual arrogance, the kind that made you want to punch something. They expect me to play house with a pampered brat just to sit in the alpha chair. He whistled low. That bad, huh? Worse, she'll be here in 2 days. Wedding's happening whether I slit my wrists or not. You half meant it. That's what scared you. Dax leaned in, playful menace in his voice. Bet she's hot, though. You turned to him, brows drawn. I don't care. He chuckled. You will. You grabbed another ball and slammed it into the corner pocket. You know, he said slowly, you could make it a game. You said nothing, but he kept going. Make her fall in love with you. Wreck her from the inside. Then walk. The idea rooted somewhere dark inside you. Familiar. Dangerous. You met his gaze. A year, he grinned. A year. You pressed your palms against the window pane, the glass cold, your heart colder. They hadn't even looked you in the eye when they told you. It's a strategic alliance, your father said. You'll thank us when you're lunar. Your mother offered nothing, just silence wrapped in pearls and powdered skin. You asked if love was even part of the equation. They laughed. No one asked if you wanted this. They told you Kale Thornheart would be your husband, the alpha of Red Moon, cold, ruthless, power-hungry. You'd heard the stories, the way he handled rogue threats, the whispers of a girl who crossed him once and disappeared. And now he'd own you. Your brothers were the only ones who fought back. Lucian's voice broke through the quiet first. She's not livestock. Jace stood beside him, fists clenched. You're selling her! Your father didn't flinch. You don't understand what's at stake. She's our sister, not a bargaining chip, Rhett roared. They never won. You knew that. But they stood in front of you anyway, like they could shield you from the weight of the future. You wanted to believe their love could change something, anything, but it didn't. The bags were packed, the date was set, the dress was delivered before you even agreed. When you tried to run, your father had you locked in the room with 2 guards outside the door. You didn't cry, not at first, but when night came and silence settled in, your resolve shattered like glass under a boot. You weren't a daughter anymore. You were a transaction, a body dressed in silk and shame. And you still had to meet him, Kale Thornheart, your future husband, the alpha you were sold to. The car pulled up to the gates like a hearse, and you felt every beat of your heart like a funeral drum. The estate loomed stone, steel, and silence. Red Moon was exactly what you expected. Cold, unwelcoming. A man opened the door for you. Not Kael. Of course not. He wouldn't sully himself with pleasantries. You stepped out with your chin high and your stomach twisted into knots. Eyes watched from windows. Whispers slithered through corridors. They'd seen you already. The girl who bought her way into their alpha's house. Eleanor greeted you. Kael's mother. Her eyes were soft, her smile even softer. It didn't reach the air around her. You weren't sure if she pitied you or envied your youth. Either way, she took your hand gently and led you inside. The dress felt tighter with every step, like it was sewn from expectations and thread made of glass. Then you saw him. Kael stood at the base of the stairs, hands in his pockets, his jaw sharp enough to cut through every ounce of hope you had left. He didn't move, didn't smile, just looked at you like you were a mess he didn't order and now had to clean. You held his gaze anyway. If he expected a simpering Luna, he'd be disappointed. He turned without a word. You followed, heart hammering through bone. The ceremony was private, brutally short. Vows exchanged like threats. Rings forced on fingers that didn't want them. There was no kiss, no warmth, only silence, and the sound of your last name vanishing into his. You were now Aria Thornheart, property of Red Moon, wife of a man who never wanted you, bride of an alpha who made a bet to break you. You sat alone in the room they called yours now, staring at the wall where a mirror should have been. No reflection, no version of yourself you wanted to see tonight. The dress lay on the floor in a puddle of disgrace. Your skin still felt marked, even though he hadn't touched you. Not yet. The door opened with a click. You didn't look. You already knew it wasn't him. It was Dax. His eyes gleamed with something between curiosity and mockery. So you're the one. You said nothing. Silence was your last defense. He smirked. You'll learn quickly, or you'll break. You wanted to scream, to rip every silk curtain off the walls, but you didn't move. He left with a laugh that stuck to your skin like oil. Hours passed, or minutes. Time twisted strangely in that house. Then the door opened again. This time, it was him. Kael didn't speak, didn't sit, just stared at you like you were a war he wasn't sure he wanted to fight. You met his gaze, steady and sharp. He tilted his head. Do you know why you're here? You refused to answer. That too was a choice. He stepped closer, too close. His scent invaded the space between your thoughts. You'll love me, he said, almost lazily. That's the game. You blinked. Once. I've got a year. He turned, footsteps echoing against the floor, and left you there with nothing but the hollow promise of your own destruction. Chapter 2. You barely slept, maybe 2 hours, if that. The knock on your door comes before the light even touches the sky, and when it opens, her voice is already too cheerful. Hi, honey, sleep well? You don't answer, just blink. She walks in like this is normal, like today is a celebration instead of a sacrifice. Your eyes dart to the space beside your bed. Your suitcases are gone. They're waiting downstairs, she says, sitting on the edge of your mattress. The dip in the bed makes your stomach lurch. You jerk away from her hand when she reaches for your face. There's no pretending anymore. As I said to Dad, we don't have to pretend. She stiffens, adjusting her dress like that'll fix what's broken. I thought maybe you'd want some help getting ready. I could straighten your hair and help with makeup. Let's make you pretty. Pretty for who? Your blood runs cold. It's not the cold of nerves, but of betrayal. She speaks like you're going to prom, not like she sold her only daughter to another pack. Make me pretty? Your laugh is sharp. What makes you think I give a damn how I look? Her brows lift like you've insulted her. She doesn't get it. None of them do. It's your wedding day. You should care how you'll look in front of his family. In front of him. You almost smile, almost. The stupidity of it burns your throat. I don't care, Mother. I never did. But that doesn't stop her. It never has. You sit in the back of the car, staring out the window at trees you won't remember. The silence between you and your mother is thick, but not unfamiliar. It's always been that way, polite, sharp-edged, and full of everything she never says. When the house fades behind you, your brothers come into view. They're standing on the front steps, shoulders rigid, jaws clenched. Lucian doesn't blink. Jace's hands are curled into fists. Rhett looks like he might actually tear the door off the car and drag you out. You want to run to them. You don't. You hold their gaze until the car moves, until the gravel crunching under the tires drowns out the one thing you wished they'd said. We'll stop this. But they didn't. They couldn't. You arrive at Red Moon territory like a parcel no one wants to unwrap. The gates open slowly, as if the house itself is unsure it wants you. A woman greets you at the door, Elena, Kael's mother. She's soft-spoken, beautifully dressed, her eyes scanning you like she's searching for cracks in the porcelain. You're not sure if she wants to patch you up or break you faster. She says your room is ready. She says you can rest, but her voice trembles just enough to make you wonder how many brides she's seen sacrificed to this pack. You nod. You say thank you. You mean nothing by it. In the room, everything smells foreign. The mattress feels too clean, like no one's ever really slept here. You sit at the vanity and stare into the mirror. You don't cry. Crying won't change the dress folded across the bed or the shoes waiting like a sentence below it. You never said yes. You just stopped saying no, and that was enough for everyone. The dress fits too well, like it was measured against your silence. You stand still as they zip you in, tugging and smoothing the fabric like they're wrapping a gift for someone else to open. No one asks if you're ready. No one cares. They say it's tradition for the bride to walk alone. You're starting to think all traditions were made by men who liked to watch women burn in silence. You take each step down the hallway like it costs you something because it does. Every echo under your heels is a piece of yourself falling away. The ceremony space is too grand. Everything smells like money and power and roses that were ordered in bulk. You feel eyes on you before you even reach the aisle. They're not warm, they're not curious, they're judgmental, bored, waiting to see what kind of Luna Kael's been forced to accept. You meet no one's gaze. Kale is already at the front, his expression carved from stone. He doesn't look at you until the priest speaks. Even then, his eyes land on you like a dare. You don't flinch. You've done enough of that for one lifetime. The vows are short. They don't feel like promises. They feel like lines in a script neither of you chose. Your voice doesn't tremble when you repeat the words. His doesn't either. You wonder if that means you're both equally dead inside. The rings are slipped on like manacles. No pause, no warmth. Then comes the kiss. You brace. He leans in, hands behind his back like you're something distasteful, and brushes his mouth against yours. It's not a kiss. It's a warning. Your stomach coils. The audience applauds. You walk back up the aisle with your hand on his arm. His grip is loose, like he wants to make it clear you're not really his, not yet. The crowd parts around you like water. No one meets your eyes. No one speaks. You're not a bride. They see a girl in a cage of lace, and none of them brought keys. At the top of the stairs, Kael stops and leans close, his breath brushing your cheek. Smile, he says, low and sharp. You're mine now. Try not to look so miserable. You smile. It's the ugliest thing you've ever worn. The reception is a blur of glass clinks and backhanded compliments. They tell you you're beautiful. They ask if you're excited. They don't wait for answers. Kael drifts through the crowd like a shadow with teeth, nodding, smirking, never touching you. It's strategic. Every moment of distance is deliberate. He's letting everyone know exactly what you are, his property, not his partner. You sit at the bridal table with a drink you don't want, surrounded by people you don't trust. Every second stretches like a thread pulled taut, waiting to snap. You find a moment alone by the window. You don't cry. You're afraid if you start, you won't stop. Your reflection stares back at you in the glass, too pale, too polished. You barely recognize her. Behind you, someone coughs. You turn, expecting Kael. It's Dax instead. He studies you with a smirk that makes your skin crawl. So, this is what Red Moon traded for? You don't answer. Pretty package. Shame about the expression. You walk away without a word, heels silent against marble. Let them talk. Let them underestimate you. You're not here to be liked. You're here to survive. Chapter 3. The room is colder than you expected, or maybe it's just you. You step across the threshold in your wedding gown, trailing silence behind you like a second veil. The dress clings to your skin, itching, suffocating, mocking. There's no firelight waiting, no flowers, no one. Just a bed you didn't choose and a door that clicks shut behind you like the lock on a cell. You don't sit. You don't breathe too loud. You don't know what happens next, and that terrifies you more than anything, and then you hear it. Footsteps, 2 sets. You turn and your stomach caves in on itself. Kale enters with Vera on his arm like you're not even there, like you're the intruder in your own wedding night. Her laugh is syrupy, thick and fake, echoing off the stone like a slap. He doesn't stop her. He doesn't even glance at you. You take a step back, but the wall is closer than you thought. He kisses her. Right there, right in front of you, no shame, no hesitation, and she smiles through it like she's just won a prize. Maybe she has. You freeze, your body stops belonging to you, your ears ring and your throat burns, but your eyes stay dry. You won't cry, not in front of them. You won't give them that. Vera's gaze flicks toward you, amused. smug. She leans closer to him, fingers brushing his chest like she's claiming territory. You wonder if he notices the way your fists clench, if he hears the breath you drag in and hold, like it'll keep you from shattering. "Thought you'd be prettier," she says, loud enough for the walls to carry it. "Maybe it's just the lighting." Kael doesn't correct her, doesn't even flinch. You straighten your spine. You've been handed to this house like a receipt, but you are not invisible, not broken, not tonight. "If you're so desperate for his attention, Vera," you say calmly, "maybe ask him why he had to marry someone else to keep his title." The silence that follows cracks through the air like lightning. Kale finally looks at you, really looks. His eyes sharpen, narrow, but something flickers behind them. Surprise, annoyance, you can't tell. Vera stiffens. Her hand drops. You don't move. You let the silence bury them. Kale turns to her and says something too quiet to catch. Whatever it is, it sends her storming from the room with one last glare you barely feel. The door shuts behind her. You're alone now. But it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like the moment before the fall. He walks past you, slow and deliberate, each step like a test to see if you'll break. You don't. You just watch him, heart pounding in your ears, trying to figure out if he's about to scream or smirk. Neither. He pours a drink at the bar, like you're not standing there in your wedding dress with his last offence still hanging in the air. "What was that?" you ask, voice low. His back is still to you. "A lesson." You almost laugh. "In what?" "Cruelty." He turns then, glass in hand, his expression unreadable. "In where you stand." You meet his gaze without flinching. "So this is how it starts." He takes a sip. "This started long before you ever walked through my door." That hurts more than it should. He doesn't touch you, doesn't threaten, but the way he looks at you like a puzzle missing too many pieces to bother solving makes your skin crawl. You take a step back. He doesn't follow. "I'm not her," you whisper. "If you're trying to make a point, find someone who deserves your venom." His jaw flexes, and then quietly, strangely, he says, "Go to sleep." You stay standing long after he leaves the room. The dress is off, crumpled on the floor like a shed skin. You sit in the corner, curled beneath a blanket you found folded at the foot of the bed. You don't cry, not because it doesn't hurt, but because the tears feel wasted here. A soft knock breaks the silence. You don't answer, but the door opens anyway. It's Elena. She steps inside quietly, like someone entering a room with a sleeping child. You brace. You expect judgment, a scolding, another lecture in disguise, but she just walks over and places something on the nightstand. Warm milk, a soft towel, a folded nightdress. No words, no pity, just presence. You look up. She meets your eyes and there's no accusation there, just something achingly close to understanding. Her voice, when it finally comes, is barely above a whisper. "You didn't deserve that." Your throat tightens. Still, you say nothing. She nods once and leaves, closing the door with a silence that somehow hurts less than all the words your own mother threw like knives. You don't touch the milk, but you pull the blanket tighter, and for the first time since you arrived, you sleep. Morning creeps in slowly, grey light filtering through the tall windows like a warning. You wake with your jaw clenched and your spine stiff from sleeping on the edge of a bed you never wanted. You dress before the staff can knock. Neutral colours, covered skin, armour made of cloth and silence. You find the dining room by following the faint clink of silverware. Kael's already there. He doesn't look up when you enter, doesn't say good morning, just keeps reading something on his phone like, "Last night never happened." You walk past him. Pour coffee. Sit. The silence is a battlefield. You both pretend it isn't. Finally, he speaks. "You embarrassed her." You know he means Vera. She deserved it. He sets his cup down with too much precision. "And what exactly do you think you deserve?" You don't answer, because the truth is, you're still trying to figure that out. He looks at you now, really looks. There's something in his expression that's not quite anger, not quite regret. "You're not what I expected," he says. "And you are." You fire back. A beat of silence. Then, almost too quiet to be real, "I never wanted this." You believe him, but that doesn't make him less dangerous. You spend the rest of the day pretending the walls aren't closing in. The mansion is vast, but every hallway feels narrow. Every glance from the staff carries curiosity laced with caution. They don't know whether to fear you, pity you, or ignore you entirely. You don't give them a reason to decide. Instead, you walk, room to room, door to door. You learn the shape of the prison before you try to live in it. By late afternoon, you find the library. It's silent, endless, shelves taller than trees, full of books that smell like dust and time. You stay there for hours. It's the first time you've felt like you belonged somewhere in days. Later, you return to your room. Vera's perfume still lingers faintly in the sheets, like a bruise that hasn't faded yet. You open the window, let the cold air bite at your skin. You want to feel something that isn't humiliation or dread. And for one breath, just one, you feel free. You remember your brothers, their faces, the way they looked at you that day. You weren't alone then, and you're not helpless now. You say it out loud, soft and sure, I will not break. And somehow, the room feels smaller than you. That night, you don't lock the door. Not out of trust, out of defiance. He enters without knocking. You knew he would. He stops at the doorway like he's expecting resistance. Or worse, fear. You give him neither. Why are you here? You ask. His jaw ticks. It's our room. You nod once, then sleep or leave. He crosses the room slowly, unbothered, but he doesn't approach you. Instead, he sits in the chair near the fireplace and watches the flames. The tension between you crackles louder than the wood. After a long silence, he says, "You're stronger than I thought." You blink. Is that supposed to be a compliment? He doesn't answer. And somehow that silence feels more honest than anything he's said so far. You turn away, pull the blanket tighter, and close your eyes, not because you're tired, but because you're done letting him see the parts of you that still tremble. Minutes pass, maybe hours. Eventually, you hear him shift, then stand, then leave, and you sleep again, not peacefully, but solidly, like someone who survived the first blow and knows another will come. Chapter 4. You're not sure what wakes you, the silence or the tension. Then the door slams open. He steps in, and the moonlight slices across his chest, catching the violent twitch in his jaw. His eyes are pitch black, his shoulders heaving. "You don't move, can't move, you dare walk away from me!" The words are calm, but the kind of calm that lives just before a storm. You straighten instinctively, though your legs tremble under the oversized shirt barely covering you. "I assumed the bed had reached full capacity," you murmur, bitter and quiet. The distance between you vanishes in a blink. He grabs your wrist and yanks you forward. Your body collides with his heat, muscle, tension. You're not ready. You're never ready. You don't have your wolf. You're just you, small, human, breakable. Look at me. You can't. Your gaze falls to the floor, chest heaving. The voice he uses isn't loud, but it carries something that makes your skin crawl. His hand snakes around the back of your head, fingers curling into your hair. He pulls, hard. You yelp, breath caught in your throat as he jerks your face upward until your eyes meet his. Nothing human looks back. "You don't ever walk away from me," he growls, and your spine stiffens under his grip. You want to scream, you want to cry, but all you do is breathe shallow and uneven as the space between your heartbeats stretches thin. Then suddenly, you're gone. The belt whistles through the air. You feel it before you hear it. It lands on your back, and the skin splits. White-hot pain consumes everything. You scream, but it barely registers over your father's voice. "Will you disobey another order again?" You can't speak. You can't think. Your voice is raw when it finally rips through your throat. "No!" The belt snaps again. Same spot. You scream louder. "In words!" "Yes, I promise. Please, please stop." You're shaking, bleeding, crying so hard you think you might disappear. And then his hand, gentle, almost tender, cups your cheek. "This is for your own good, Aria. You must learn to obey." You were 11. Your only crime was leaving pack borders to see a hill covered in wildflowers. It wasn't forbidden. Except for you. Your eyes snap open, disoriented and gasping. You're still in the room, still pressed against Kael. His hand is no longer in your hair, but he's holding your arm like your glass, and he's deciding whether to drop you. He studies your face, eyebrows pinched. His thumb brushes your cheek, and you realise too late you've been crying. His eyes aren't just angry now. There's something else beneath the surface, something dark and confused, but it's gone the moment he steps back. Jaw tightening like he's ashamed of what he almost showed. "Grab your things," he mutters, cold again. You draw a breath. "No, I'll sleep here tonight." He turns slowly. "You're coming with me. If you don't walk, I'll carry you." Your voice tries to stay steady. "Alpha, it's Kale," he cuts in. Just call me Kale. He grabs your dress off the hanger and leaves. You hesitate. For a moment, you think maybe he'll leave you alone. Maybe you've won. You haven't. He returns 2 minutes later, silent, eyes smouldering. I warned you. He tosses you over his shoulder like you're nothing more than a duffel bag. You squirm, legs kicking, fists pounding his back. Are you kidding me? Shh, you'll wake the whole fucking pack. He climbs the stairs like you weigh nothing. You twist, trying to catch your breath, but all you see is darkness. A shadow at the end of the hall, watching, gone. You don't know if it's real. You don't care. He throws you down, but not on the floor. The bed catches you, soft and too warm. You scramble, tugging the hem of your shirt down over your thighs, flushed and furious. Kael doesn't care. He strips off his shirt, then his tie, moving toward his pants without shame. You turn away, burying yourself beneath the covers. Pretending none of this is happening, he scoffs. No need to shy away. It's nothing you haven't seen before. Except you haven't. Not this. Not anyone. You think of what Elena said. No expectations. He steps into the shower. Steam fills the bathroom. The door clicks shut, and for one brief, stolen moment, you breathe. Then darkness claims you. You wake up alone. The curtains are drawn, but a sliver of light cuts through. You roll over, heart pounding. He's not there. Relief floods you, but it's temporary. You get up, shower, throw on a floral dress and sneakers. The silence doesn't last. Downstairs, the chatter begins. Too many voices, too much noise. You tell yourself you can handle it. You always have. You always will. Chapter 5. You wake to the smell of polished wood and ironed linen. The sheets beside you are cold. Again. You don't ask where he went. You stopped asking after the second time he vanished before dawn. Maybe it's better this way. Maybe distance makes it easier not to feel. Still, you shower in silence, pull your hair into something neat, swipe gloss over lips that don't smile. You choose a simple blouse and cream-coloured pants. Nothing that screams Luna, nothing that begs to be noticed, but they'll notice you anyway, because you're still the outsider, still. The girl he married in a room too quiet to be real. The dining hall buzzes with voices you don't know. You step through the doorway like it might bite you, and it almost does. Eyes flick up. Pause. Slide away too fast. Some of them nod politely. Most don't. He's not here. You sit alone. You eat alone. You don't look up, but you feel the weight of every glance, every unspoken conversation wrapped in carefully composed smirks. You chew slower, sip quieter. You wonder if this is what being Luna is, endless rooms filled with people who only see your ring, not your spine, not your scars. Just the price tag they think hangs off your wrist. You push your chair back too gently, walk toward the door with measured steps, almost make it. Aria! You freeze. Vera's voice cuts through the room like perfume laced with acid. You turn. She waves from a table of impossibly perfect faces. Sierra, Blythe, Chloe, girls who wear their status like a tailored suit. You're not just going to eat and vanish again, are you? Her voice is all false charm and too loud friendliness. You force your lips into something like a smile. I wasn't sure I was invited. Laughter, breezy and sharp. Vera stands, gliding toward you in a body-hugging dress that probably cost more than your car. Well, consider this your official welcome. We were just planning a little trip to the city. You should come. You hesitate. Every part of you knows this is bait, but you're tired of being the ghost in every hallway, so you nod, and that's how it starts. They take the sleek black SUV parked at the front of the estate. Of course they do. Vera tosses you the passenger seat like it's a courtesy. The others climb in behind you, their laughter spilling into every inch of space, like perfume no one asked for. The car smells like cash and fake sisterhood. They talk over you, around you, never to you, but Vera's voice keeps circling back, checking your reactions like she's testing the tightness of a leash she hasn't fastened yet. Do you like Chanel? She asks sweetly. You nod once. Sure. Perfect. There's a pop-up today. Custom fittings. Invitation only. The others gasp like it's royal news. You murmur something polite, something quiet. You should have known. Downtown glitters like something you don't belong in. They drag you from boutique to boutique, trying on things they won't buy, laughing at things you don't understand. You trail behind them like a bridesmaid no one picked. Inside Chanel, the walls are white and gold, like wealth made flesh. The store manager recognizes Vera instantly. Of course! This way, ladies. a private room, champagne. You shouldn't be here, you know it, but they smile like they've already decided who you are, and it's too late to rewrite the script. The fittings are blur. Vera tries on a pearl blazer with a price tag that makes your stomach twist. Blythe picks a sapphire dress that makes her look like someone from a magazine. Chloe giggles in a mirror, holding a clutch shaped like a swan. They push you into a dressing room with something soft and pale pink. You come out and they all freeze. "Oh, wow," Sierra says. You glance at the mirror. You don't look like you. You look like the version of you they'd let into their circle, maybe. For a minute. Vera smiles. "It's perfect. You should buy it." You check the tag, 9,095, before tax. Your throat tightens. Oh, come on, Vera purrs. "You're Kyle's wife, Luna. You can afford one dress." She says it like it's your duty, like the price is nothing next to the privilege. The saleswoman turns toward you, credit machine already waiting. The others are watching, smiling. You swipe your card. You don't remember the walk to the register. You don't remember the machine beeping, or the receipt printing, or the way the saleswoman bagged the dress like it was just another pretty lie folded in tissue paper. But you remember the look on Vera's face. Satisfaction, like she just won a game you didn't know you were playing. You carry the bag out like a trophy made of regret. The sun hits your skin like punishment. You step out onto the curb, still adjusting the strap on your purse when you realise they're gone. The SUV, the girls, the laughter, gone. You spin in place, confusion tightening in your throat. You take out your phone. No messages. You open the chat window. It's empty. You stare at the screen until it blurs. Then you laugh. Sharp, breathless, cracked. Of course they left you. That was the whole point. You walk 6 blocks before you find a bench. Sit. Grip the Chanel bag like it's your only proof this day actually happened. People pass. No one stops. No one asks. You try to call Kael. The call rings once, then dies. You don't try again. Instead, you sit there in your designer dress, in your not quite Luna title, watching the world keep moving like you don't exist. You wonder if you ever did. An hour passes before a black car pulls up to the curb. You don't look until the door swings open. Dax leans out, one arm draped across the headrest. "Get in, Luna." You hesitate. He raises an eyebrow. "Or would you rather sit there and wait for Vera to come back?" You get in. The silence is heavier than the engine. He doesn't drive fast. He doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. The smirk on his face does enough damage. The gates of the estate close behind you with a shudder that sounds too much like a laugh. You clutch the bag tighter, fingers aching from how long you've held it. Dax doesn't speak when you step out. He doesn't have to. His silence is a mirror, one you don't want to look into. You walk into the house like a ghost, feet silent on the tile. No one greets you. No one was looking for you. You almost make it to the stairs. Almost. "What the hell is that?" His voice slices from the hallway. "Kale." You freeze. He strides toward you, eyes locked on the bag in your hand. "Is that Chanel?" you say quietly. His brows lower. "How much?" You hesitate. He steps closer. "How much, Aria?" 9,000, you whisper. A pause, then, "Are you out of your mind?" The volume isn't what hurts, it's the betrayal behind it. Like he expected better, like you've somehow embarrassed him more than they humiliated you. You lift your chin. "I didn't ask to be left downtown. You went with them." His voice is sharp. "Did you think that was a good idea?" "No," you say, voice cracking. "But I didn't think they'd leave me there either." His hands flex at his sides. "Did they make you pay?" "No, you swallow. "They picked things out, told me I looked good, encouraged it, and then vanished." He finishes coldly. You nod. Tears sting your eyes but don't fall. "You're not a child," he mutters. "You should have known better. And that breaks you more than the price tag ever could, because he's not wrong, but he's not right either." You walk away before he can say anything else. You make it to your room, lock the door. You don't cry, not yet. You place the dress on the chair and stare at it. Pale pink, perfect stitching, lies wrapped in luxury. You pull off your clothes slowly, deliberately, like you're shedding shame thread by thread. Then you sit on the floor, knees pulled to your chest, and let the silence fill your lungs. You ask yourself the question you've avoided since the first moment Vera smiled at you. Did I really think they wanted me there? Did I really believe they saw me as one of them? And worse, do I even know what friendship is anymore? It's almost nightfall when you finally move. You're still on the floor when the knock comes. You don't answer. You expect Kael. You expect another cold stare, another reminder of how foolish you looked out there today. But it's not him, it's Elena. She knocks once more, then waits. You pull the door open just far enough to see her face. No judgment, no pity, just that steady, maddening kindness. "I thought you might need this," she says softly, holding out a tray with soup, bread, and a cup of tea. You nod. That's all you can manage. She doesn't step inside, doesn't push, but before she turns to leave, she says, "You are not them, and you don't need to be." The door clicks shut behind her, and it feels less like an exit and more like a shield. You eat in silence, not because you're hungry, but because you need the ritual, the grounding, the normal. Later, you sit by the window, knees pulled to your chest again, this time wrapped in one of Kyle's long-sleeved shirts you found folded neatly in the drawer. It still smells like him, still feels like contradiction and heat. The dress remains on the chair, untouched. You don't know if you'll return it. Maybe you'll burn it. Maybe you'll keep it. A reminder. Not of what they did, but of what you won't let happen again. You whisper it like a vow. I won't let them break me. Because today wasn't the end. It was a lesson, and tomorrow you'll walk differently. Not as their Luna, not as his wife, but as a girl who learned how wolves smile before they bite. Chapter 6. You weren't expecting warmth. Not after yesterday, not after Vera. Not after the hollow weight of Kael's disappointment digging under your skin like a second spine. You kept your head down through breakfast, barely tasted the food, barely breathed. You'd made yourself smaller. Again, and still, the stares lingered. Their eyes followed you down the corridor like whispers, like rumours looking for something to stick to. You needed air. You needed out. So you took the path behind the gardens, the one that curved around the far training fields, where no one really lingered mid-morning. The wind was sharp, slicing across your cheekbones, and you let it bite. Let it remind you you were real. Not just Kale's wife, not just a pawn in Vera's game, just a girl with bruised trust and nowhere soft to fall. You didn't hear her at first, the rustle of her jacket, the way her boots crunched the gravel. Then her voice. You walk like you're waiting to be tackled. You turned, slowly. She wasn't smiling. Tess. Not part of Vera's court, not Kael's fan, not anyone's shadow, just Tess, with sharp eyes and a voice that didn't bother pretending. You didn't answer, not right away. You didn't know if this was another setup. Tess didn't push. She just stood there, one hand in the pocket of a leather jacket that looked broken in and unapologetic. Like her hair was tied back, a few strands escaping, framing a face that didn't care to impress. You didn't know what to say. She did. I saw what they did. Yesterday. You blinked. She shrugged. The dress. The abandonment. Classic Vera. You waited for the mockery. It never came. Instead, Tess sighed and sat on the low stone bench near the hedge. You can sit. I don't bite. And I don't do friend auditions either. There's something in her tone disarmed you more than any of Vera's poisoned sweetness ever could. You sat, cautiously. The silence stretched, but it wasn't heavy. Finally, you asked, why? She glanced at you. Why what? Why talk to me? Her gaze didn't waver. Because I've been you. That landed harder than you expected. You looked away, but her voice followed, steady and even. Vera used me too, until I stopped being useful, until I made her look bad in front of the wrong person. That's how it works with people like her. They're not building friendships, they're building mirrors. You stop reflecting what they want, you disappear. You breathe that in like truth. You didn't speak for a while, but you didn't leave either. The wind picked up, rustling the hedges, and Tess leaned back like she had all the time in the world. Eventually, you asked, so what did you do when she dropped you? Tess gave a half smile, not bitter, just old. I stopped asking for a seat at her table. She looked at you then, direct and unapologetic. You don't need them, you know. Vera, her followers, Kael's pack hierarchy. You laughed once sharp, empty. Easy to say. I'm Luna. Tess's eyes flicker. No, you're married to an alpha. Big difference. That hit harder than you wanted to admit, she went on. You can let them define you, let their status become your shadow, or you can choose your own damn name and stand in the sun. You stared at the ground, throat tight. You think I don't want that? I think, Tess said gently, you've forgotten you still can. The words lodged in your ribs. You didn't know how to answer, but something in you, something cracked and fragile began to shift. Not healed, not whole, but moving, and maybe that was enough. You stayed out there longer than you meant to. Tess didn't push. She didn't ask invasive questions. She just existed beside you, calm and constant, the way real people did when they weren't trying to break or brand you. Eventually, you spoke, quietly. I used to believe people were kind by default. Tess didn't laugh. You continued, voice trembling. But then they made kindness feel like a test, like I had to earn it or pay for it. Tess exhaled slowly. That's not kindness, that's currency. You looked at her. What's the difference? She met your gaze without flinching. Kindness doesn't expect change. It meets you where you are. The ache in your chest pressed hard. No one had ever said that to you. Not your mother, not Kael, not even your brothers, not in words. Tess stood after a long beat. I walk the perimeter at sunset most days. Clears the head. You rose too, unsure if the spell would break once distance came back. She glanced at you once more. You don't have to be grateful. Just don't go quiet again. That's when they win. You nodded. And something about the way she left without ceremony, without demand, felt more like friendship than anything Vera ever offered. The house was quiet when you returned, but it wasn't the same kind of quiet as before. Not the hollow kind. Not the kind that made your chest squeeze. This silence felt earned. You walked the hall a little slower, straighter. Not because you were trying to impress anyone, but because you weren't trying to disappear. You passed Vera in the corridor near the lounge. She looked up from her phone just long enough to offer a fake smile. You didn't return it. And that, apparently, was enough to rattle her. She blinked. You kept walking. No apology. No bend in the spine. She wasn't your weather system anymore. Kale found you in the library later that night. You didn't hear him enter, but you felt it, the shift in the air, the weight of his gaze across the room. You didn't look up right away. You let him stand there, wait. When you finally lifted your head, he was watching you the way one might watch a fire, cautious, fascinated, unsure if it would warm or burn. You didn't come to dinner, he said. You tilted your head. Was I expected? Something flickered in his expression. I told them you weren't feeling well. You nodded slowly. Then they'll believe I wasn't. He stepped closer. You seem different. You closed the book in your lap. Maybe I remembered I don't need to earn space I already occupy. His brows lifted, but he didn't challenge it, didn't mock it. He just stood there, strangely still. You didn't wait for approval. You rose, walked past him, left him in the silence he used to use like a weapon. And this time, it didn't wound you. It freed you. You found her again the next day, near the training grounds, sitting on a low wall with a thermos in hand and a book balanced on her thigh. She looked up. Not surprised. You came back. You nodded. I didn't want to vanish again. Tess patted the space beside her. You sat without hesitation. She offered you coffee. Strong, bitter, no sugar. You drank anyway. The silence between you stretched long, then folded into something easier. You asked about her wolf. She asked about your brothers. You told her one story about Lucian trying to build a raft in the creek and nearly drowning. She laughed, loud, unfiltered. You laughed too, and for a moment, it didn't feel like survival. It felt like something more, something almost sacred. She showed you how to punch. Later that afternoon, behind the north shed, not because she thought you needed to fight, but because you asked, because you wanted to feel your body in motion again. She didn't correct you when you missed, didn't flinch when you cursed under your breath. She just nodded and said again, so you did. Until your arms ached and your breath felt earned. You walked home that night slower than usual. Your muscles ached, your hands were sore, but your chest felt light, lighter than it had in days. The mansion loomed as always, too large, too quiet. But you didn't dread the doors this time, not because they stopped being cold, but because you stopped letting them define the temperature inside you. You stood at the threshold of your room, then turned. Tess had told you once, authenticity is louder than status. You were starting to believe her. You wouldn't parade this connection, wouldn't use her as armor or proof of worth. You would protect it, because for the first time since arriving, someone saw you not as an extension of power, but as a person. You whispered it softly before the light snapped off. I see me now too, and the room, for once, didn't feel so empty. Chapter 7, you're barely through the door when it slams shut behind you. The echo bounces through your ribs, vibrating straight down your spine. He's already in the room, broad-shouldered, glowering. His presence alone chokes the air from your lungs. You freeze. Where the fuck have you been? His voice cuts sharp and low like a blade just before it breaks the skin. Your lips part, but the words stutter behind your teeth. I went to the mall. He steps forward slowly, controlled. You disappeared. You blink. I wasn't aware I needed permission. You didn't think I'd want to know where my Luna was. You almost laugh. The hypocrisy. Is that what this is? Concern? No. This is control, he growls, closing the space between you in one measured step. You don't vanish on me, Aria. You don't make me look like a fool in front of the pack. You step back, but the bed catches your knees. And since you seem to have forgotten, he adds, I'm the alpha. You glare, trying not to show the fear bleeding into your breath. You don't own me. His eyes darken, lips curling into something that is neither smile nor snarl. No, princess. I own everything under this roof, including your silence, your phone, your time, and starting now, your obedience. He stretches out a hand. Give me your phone. What? Why? I said, give it. Your hand trembles as you reach into your bag, fingers curling around the device like it's the last thing you control. You hold it out, but he snatches it before your hand is ready to let go. Kael, he's already typing. You watch him scroll, press, type again. Then you see it, his number added. He texts himself from your phone, locking the connection in. There, he says coolly, handing it back. Now I always know how to reach you, and you'd better answer. He steps in close, too close. His hand cups your jaw, fingers digging just enough to leave the memory of pressure. You will tell me where you are, every time, or there will be consequences. His thumb drags along your lower lip, soft, almost reverent, and yet full of threat. The contradiction makes your stomach twist. You think this is how you win obedience? You whisper, breath catching. I don't care about obedience. I care about control. The word lands like a cuff to the throat. I'm not a child, you're mine. His hand drops, but his gaze doesn't. And mine follows rules. You should hate him. You do. And yet, there's something deeper than hate clawing through you. Something darker. Something that flinches but leans closer. He turns toward the door. There's dinner downstairs. Change. You hold your ground. I'm not hungry. I didn't ask. He doesn't flinch. Everyone's waiting. The control game sharpens. He wants you to move first. To yield. You reach for the loose shirt on the bed, pull it over your head and slip the dress off beneath it. No shame. No flinch. He watches, jaw twitching. Put on pants, he mutters. You pretend not to hear. He steps closer. Now. You glare. Leave. Something flares in his eyes. Something not just angry, but curious. His hand rises, trails lightly down your side, resting at your waist. I can hear your heartbeat, he murmurs. I know what you're feeling. Your skin prickles. He's not wrong. But that's not the point. You pull back, jaw clenched, then listen closely. It's not for you. That makes him smile. Not kindly. 10 minutes. Don't make me come back. He leaves. You dress quickly, the adrenaline still trembling through your hands. Pants, top, clean face, a spray of perfume armor for the next performance. Downstairs, he waits by the stairs like a warden. You pretend not to see him, but his fingers slip around yours as you pass. Not possessive. Not tender. Just inevitable. They're not in the dining hall, he says, steering you toward a different wing. A smaller, private dining room greets you, lit with soft candles and too many watching eyes. Magnus, Eleanor, Dax, Bob. You sit across from Eleanor, under the scrutiny of 3 alphas and a beta. Good to see you're all right, Eleanor says gently. You nod. Sorry about that. I went shopping. Got caught up. Excited? Dax grins. You force a smile. A little. Let me guess Chanel. His grin widens. You sip water instead of answering. Let them believe what they want. If they expect a spoiled Luna, you'll serve it to them with glittering teeth. Elena changes the subject. The table relaxes. Kael's hand rests beneath the table, fingers grazing your thigh. Your pulse stutters. Your hand twitches, but you don't flinch. You don't give him the win. Relax, he breathes near your ear. You're too tense. You want to snap that he's the reason why, but his hand withdraws just as your muscles go slack. Later, Eleanor brings you aside. Her voice is gentle, concerned. Everything okay? You smile, because it's easier. Had a good day, even made a friend. Tess? You blink. Yes. I'm glad, Eleanor says, but something unreadable lingers in her expression. She's kind, been through a lot. You nod. So have I. That earns a warmer smile. She places a hand over yours. If there's ever anything troubling, anything you need, come to me. You want to believe her. But survival taught you to keep secrets close. Even kindness has claws in this world. You retreat upstairs. He's showering. You open your bag, but it's been moved, lighter. You kneel, unzip it empty. Your clothes are gone. The closet, he says, stepping out in nothing but a towel. You turn, and for one dizzy second, you forget to breathe. Water drips along the ridges of his chest. His arms flex as he reaches for a shirt. Muscles ripple with ease. He catches your stare and smirks. How long are you planning to watch? You flush and look away. Where are my clothes? You ask. Right here. He opens the closet. Everything's been unpacked, hung, folded your life, sorted. You step closer. Reluctant, but needing your top. He doesn't move. His body blocks the doorway, intentionally. Could you please move? Not shy, are you? He murmurs. I'm not. Then get what you need. Your fingers tremble as you reach past him. His hand grazes your waist. I'm helping, he says, too softly. I don't need your help. You need something. His hand curls tighter. Stop, you whisper, but your body betrays you, heart racing, lips parting. He leans in. Tell me what you want. I want to be with someone who loves me. You breathe, voice breaking, not someone who wants me to obey. 4 hard knocks on the door. A gasp escapes you as reality crashes back in. You yank yourself free, clothes clutched against your chest. He turns and rips open the door. You lock yourself in the bathroom, heart hammering. His voice blurs into Dax's laughter outside. You stare into the mirror. You don't recognize the girl staring back. But one thing is certain. You will not break. Not yet. Chapter 8. You hear him before you see him, the sound of the door clicking shut, the deliberate hush of his breath, the silence that stretches just long enough to feel like a trap. You turn slowly. He's there leaning against the frame, arms crossed, shirt half unbuttoned, like he forgot how to finish dressing or simply didn't care. His gaze sweeps over you, not casual, not curious, predatory. You straighten instinctively like prey caught mid-step. What do you want? You ask, voice calm. Too calm. He doesn't answer. Just watches you like he's trying to memorize the shape of your defiance. Then he walks toward you, slow, unhurried, like the floor belongs to him and the walls bend to his presence. You've been avoiding me. You resist the urge to step back. Maybe I've been finding better ways to spend my time. He smirks. Like learning to punch. You blink. He must have seen you with Tess. Interesting choice of trainer, he adds, stopping just short of touching distance. She's not exactly beloved around here. Neither am I, you say. Maybe that's the point. His expression sharpens. He lifts a hand, not to hit, not to command, but to hover, right at your cheek, fingers curled in restraint. But he doesn't touch. You confuse me, he says. You exhale, steady. Good. He tilts his head. You think you're strong now? No, you answer. I think I'm tired of pretending I'm not. That lands. He flinches, not outwardly, but you feel it. A breath missed. A beat. Stalled. Then, slowly, he steps closer. You don't move. His fingers finally brush your skin, your jaw, your collarbone, the edge of your shoulder. Light. Testing. You're not afraid of me anymore. You meet his eyes. I'm afraid of what you make me feel. And there it is, the first crack. He breathes in, slow and deep, like he's trying to taste your honesty. Then his fingers tighten, not rough, but certain. His hand trails down your arm, pausing at your wrist. He lifts it, brings it between your bodies. Places your palm against his chest. You feel that? He murmurs. His heart, steady, heavy, unapologetically alive. You do this to me. You want to pull away. You don't. He's warm, and you hate how your pulse responds, how your stomach flips with betrayal. You whisper, "Is this what you do to all your possessions?" His grip loosens. Not enough to break contact, but enough to remind you he's listening now. I didn't mean to become this, he says quietly. You don't ask what this is. You know, alpha, controller, monster, man. Instead, you lower your hand and take a step back. He doesn't follow. You exhale, the air trembling. What do you want from me, Kael? A wife? A puppet? A fighter? A fuck toy? You haven't decided. His jaw flexes. I want you to want me, he says. The admission is raw, unvarnished. But on your terms, you add. He doesn't deny it. Silence expands between you like a wound. You hold it, let it stretch, let it hurt. Then you say, clear and soft, I want to be loved, not leashed. That's when he truly freezes, because this isn't resistance. This is a line, and it's the first time you've drawn it, not in anger, not in fear, but in clarity. He doesn't speak, not right away, just stares at you like he's seeing you for the first time. Not the Luna, not the obligation, not the rebellion wrapped in a pretty face, but the woman who refused to break. And that shakes him more than anything else ever has. His hand falls to his side. He swallows, jaw ticking, chest rising like he's about to say something that might matter, but the words never come. You nod once, not in victory, but in understanding. Then you turn. He doesn't stop you. You leave him standing there, surrounded by the very silence he used to rule with. And for once, it doesn't bend to his will. Your footsteps echo louder than expected in the hallway. You make it 3 doors down before the adrenaline ebbs, and you realize your hands are shaking. You press them to your sides. Breathe deep. That wasn't a win, but it wasn't a loss either. It was something new. A stand. Elena finds you in the garden an hour later, sitting beneath the old ash tree with your shoes off and your knees pulled to your chest. She doesn't ask what happened. She just hands you a soft blanket and sits beside you, knitting in silence. You watch her fingers move, steady, unbothered. Men like him, she says eventually, weren't taught how to love, only how to keep. You don't respond. Not yet, she adds, but women like you can make them remember. You smile, tired. I'm not here to fix him. No, she agrees, but you're strong enough and not to let him break you either. And somehow, that's enough. He doesn't come that night. You sleep in the guest room, alone, and it feels like oxygen. Not because you don't want him near, but because, for once, he's respecting the space you carved. In the morning, you find your closet untouched. No new clothes, no missing ones. Your phone is still yours. Small things, small mercies. You dress slowly, neutrals, no makeup. You're not hiding, you're choosing silence over performance. Downstairs, he's at the end of the hallway, waiting, not blocking. You pass him, shoulders square. Aria, he says. You pause. He doesn't touch you. Doesn't growl. Doesn't demand. Just says, you scare me more than anyone ever has. You meet his eyes. Then stop trying to control what you're afraid to lose. He nods once, steps back, and lets you walk. You don't look back as you walk away, but you feel the difference in the air like a string pulled taut has finally been severed. For once, Kael doesn't chase, doesn't command, doesn't try to reclaim the last word, and that silence is louder than anything he could have said. You walk not as someone fleeing, but as someone choosing, not a pawn, not a wife carved out of obedience, but a woman with her spine intact, her heart bruised but beating. And as the hallway swallows the echo of your footsteps, you know this isn't the end of his game. It's the beginning of yours.